Re-engages as Hans gets poked on out ice. The position is huge. He re-engages Labrov, gets the 3-man knockup. White BDS have woken up a little bit as Broken Blade gets tagged down, but Nuke is free firing. He's got an ace machine.
Yeah, good guys. Okay, it's enough.
Oh, we're going.
Okay, it's gonna be knocked up, okay? I'm in front of you. It's fine. We have to get out. Okay, we got him.
No flash.
Careful,
guys, just re-dragon if we don't.
Okay. It's fine, guys. We don't have to. Just don't. Okay, no W, no flash. Are you in? Nice! Together.
Together as well?
No, guys. No, we get everything.
Mid first. Mid first.
I just walked straight into Sjokz.
Welcome back, everyone, as we try to find our marks. Keep it going, come on! Yeah, the G2 fans are awake, I know that. Unbelievable. And we were talking as we were standing in that tunnel, and Medic, I think you said, the minute they didn't capitalize on the first match point, I knew it was going to happen. Actually, you said when they killed the second Nexus.
Yeah, I said when
Why
they
is
went 2-0
that?
up, it was going to happen. Because there's just this air of inevitability around the whole thing. We've seen BDS in this spot so many times in the past. We've seen them got reverse swept by MDK and by Fnatic in the last 2 years. And it's a vibe. You know, some teams have the aura and some teams don't. And unfortunately, BDS, until they win a Game 5, to me, just don't have that aura.
Unironically, the hardest game in a best-of series is the one where you need to close it out, because it's so much easier to go up 2-0, because there's a lot less pressure in that sense, even though you're facing the wall. That is G2 plenty of times before. For me, when we went to 2-0, we got reverse swept just because it's crunch time, you know, you need to close it out, you need to put on your best performance against a team that is playing with the back against the wall, and a lot of times the teams end up faltering.
And on the other side, Broxah, you could look at it as we did at the beginning of the day, you know, when I also asked you when it came to match point, is your glass half full or is it half empty? And I know that we're very inclined to say, it is so empty and I am so thirsty, Broxah, but for BDS, you know, on the other hand, you have this one chance now. And now there is really no ifs, buts, or maybes. There are no excuses. There is nothing you can go for. This is it or it is over for you. Do you feel like BDS is a team that can step up to this expectation, knowing that this is what they've worked for the entire year?
What makes me unsure is the fact that they've played the same draft, or style of draft at the very least. 4 games in a row, staying on red side, so maybe a fifth. And I think to me it's clear that it worked in the first 2 games, it didn't work in the third. You probably should have adapted going into this one, and now they really need to decide if this is the route they want to continue, or if they finally bring a surprise, and if so, what that surprise is going to be.
And what it's going to look like. And I think we are very inclined to look at it from the perspective of BDS. Of course you are, because you have the tape and you have the memories and you have that curse that is following them. But I also want to look at it, Medic, from the side of a G2 that is sovereignly leading Europe and has done for a very long time, that was with their backs against the wall at that match point and realized, again, we're not going to win all these trophies. Heck, we're not going to be able to join all of our fans in Munich who've already bought tickets, probably, and already bought their transportation. Yes. Can we let that happen? So something is to be said for their grinta in this best of 5.
Yeah, I think their grit and determination is something that G2 has to be respected for through the whole year. Like, we've seen ups and downs from this team. We've seen Cap struggling, we've seen Mikyx struggling in this series, we've seen splits where Hans Summer looks like he doesn't really understand his role in the team. But one of the great things about G2 is how well the cogs work together to elevate each individual player when needs must, right? Someone can struggle and the other parts of the team step up. And I think we continue to see that, and I think a lot of credit has to be given to their coaching staff for that as well. Dylan, Falco, and Duffman were on Euphoria this week talking about they have multiple people fulfilling multiple roles and even crossing over the roles to make sure that they don't have gaps in their knowledge, and their team exemplifies that.
Absolutely. Odo, quantify it for me then, because for G2 something is working that wasn't working in the first 2 games, and we talked about how BDS is going for the same strats over and over. So how has G2 elevated their game?
Well, they slowed the game down a lot because I think the total average of kills throughout the whole series has been going down significantly from game 1 up to game 4. They realized that all of these skirmishes that are happening in the early game are not really working out in their favor. Mikyx went from, 7 deaths in the first game to like now 3 and finding great engages. That's great, finding great engages all around, and he's been having a great performance. And that's just because they realized that if the game slows down, their fundamentals are better, their map setup is better, the way they just synergize so good into team fights has been going up. So I think this is what they have been doing, and this is the core thing that made them so good this series.
And I think a huge difference that we've seen from G2 is in the summer finals against Fnatic, they fell massively behind Fnatic, but then used their mid game to overcome Fnatic as the game went on, right? BDS are not as good an early game team as Fnatic is. And so by slowing the tempo of the game down, G2, who have worked on their mid game so much this year, can then play to their current strengths.
Yes, as they are on stage first, I don't want to add to the tally of things that, is going against BDS in this. We already said the 4 3-2s, the 2 reverse sweeps, but also of those reverse sweeps, they were never able to kind of stop the motions, whenever they started losing the games. And that is also damning because that speaks to their momentum, And you both as competitors, it is probably the hardest thing to overcome. I mean, you were in the shoes of losing to G2 over and over and over until you did it, right? So what advice can you give BDS?
Well, I think both me and Odo have been in situations in the past where it felt like we had a curse that needed to be broken, and eventually we both overcame it. And in the same way, there's a good chance that these guys behind us are about to do it right now.
How will they do it? I know they can hear you, but that's life, baby.
I think they have to focus on the things that went really well. They did amazing in game 1 and 2. They did really well in game 4, and it was close in a lot of ways, but they need to find a way to shut down Caps and to get a stronger team fighting comp, and then they're going to be in a good spot to win.
Yeah, most of the adaptations that I would go for would be a little bit in the drafting department, because the drafts look good, the skeleton is good, but there's just always this one pick that doesn't really fit the draft, and last game it was Rumble. And I really, really hope that they make this sort of adaptation, because their fundamentals are still really, really good, and the way they get their leads is still like okay, but now if the game slows down, you cannot go back to the same style and the same style of drafting that you had in game 1 and 2, and you need to kind of pick a little bit more for late game, I would say.
Who wins game 5? Medic.
I'm a BDS ambassador, so I'm going to say BDS.
Okay. Broxah?
Say BDS to him. If they win, you'll sound amazing.
I want to say BDS. I'm going to go with BDS. I'll go for the spice.
Okay. Odo?
Because we have Mr. Ambassador over here, he's inspiring me so much, so I would go for a BDS win. Just so we don't have another G2 final storyline, we need a new champion in Europe.
Well, we're all going to be very wrong in about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So.
I know more than enough about Jinxes that I'm not going to give my opinion about this, because they did that for me. But what a game 5 we have. BDS, this is it. Your season is over. You are not going to Worlds. You're not going to Munich if you cannot win this game 5. And G2, will you really let your fans down and not make it to Munich next week? Let's find out.
All those tickets that people bought in advance thinking G2's a sure thing. Is it really? We talk about momentum. G2 obviously have that in their favor going into this game 5, but anything's up for grabs here. One final game to decide it. One moment. Mum spaghetti. Yeah. Dagda, Vedius. We're going to walk you through it, because drafting was something those guys down there talked about quite a lot, considering that I feel like the drafts have been both interesting, but like the dynamic that's evolved in the series, especially with this Ashe pick as a priority, this Rel ban as a priority, and what gets picked up in early jungle. I think that's where we can at least start.
I mean, I agree a lot with Odo's point about Adam's picks. In games 1 and 2, I really felt their impact.
Yep.
In games 3 and 4, we didn't.
We did not.
Now, admittedly, again, I'll reinforce that in game 3, the bot side of the map was collapsing before he really had an opportunity to do anything. But I really want to see BDS really make use of this 5th counter pick, of this last pick counter pick, to give him an advantage so that he can be impactful in these fights.
It's crazy to see BDS go back to red again. I can understand, again, you are wanting to give Adam that counter pick, but it just feels like Ashe has been such a crucial pick over the course of this series that it's bizarre to not go for that blue side so you can try and secure it, unless they want to ban it here. But Tristana was the pick taken away in that last one, because they are still prioritizing that Corki Maokai on 1-2, but the Corki ban.
They banned Corki themselves?
So what does that Where are they going with this?
Are
because
we going back to mages?
we assume this is Ashe first pick, right? That's at
yes.
least it's been so strong for both teams throughout this series. Has developed to a must.
There's no way that this, like, because you can't afford to give Ice Ashe,
Yep.
and it's proven how strong just the champion is in this series.
Tristana Ivan?
I mean, Ezreal's going to be high priority, of course. I guess, so basically their priority shifted where they clearly wanted to be more flexible in mids, but they don't want to afford or run the risk of Corki going away. So the reason why they banned Corki is because they want to first pick Ez and they want Maokai alongside it.
Right.
And they didn't want to run the risk of giving Corki over to G2. So that's the logic behind the ban. The question is it worth it? Like, because, I mean, G2, they're going to stick to a game plan that they've already showcased, which is bring out the Nautilus. It wasn't a good game 1 for Mikyx, but his game 4 was a lot better, and you saw how it was supposed to work. So I think that they can now round out, they can go for a small, I guess actually it delays the mid lane pick because now you don't know what you're picking into. So Caps, you can see him contemplating on your screen right now. Do they just blind pick a safe pick? It looks like they're going to go for the Cassante.
So I think the reason being, I think BDS are trying to set up for a Cassiopeia pick. They can now send the Cassiopeia into the top side if they want to up against Cassante. But I do think this is kind of where they were like, hey, look, we want to go back towards mages. We want to go back towards comfort. But
this is why they did
it. They're going to go towards the Rakan.
They wanted to get the Rakan back for Labrov.
Yeah.
It was denied for them in the second phase of bans, and they just didn't want to pick mid lane here at all. So instead, I think that now, like, the counter pick becomes clear. It's Nuke that's going to be given that option. We're going to see, we may see tank versus tank on the top side of the map. We may see Adam default back to that. But now BDS have a little bit more flexibility. Rather than running double AD carries, they can look to lock in a mage. They themselves have banned away the Azir, which would be my initial instinct. But now they're going to start to pinch that jungle pool. Sejuani and Ivan likely to be taken away. Maybe they consider shifting the Sejuani into a Zyra ban instead, given that so far this series, Yike really hasn't gone for the Sejuani, going for both the Bran and the Zyra ahead of it.
And also, I think trying to force a Sejuani pick to pull Caps into that mage battle could work out actually relatively well for BDS, because he's shown that the Tristana is an incredibly strong pick for him. The Lucian he's looked great on. So I think there's a lot of these AD carry picks that are still there. Now you can still go Brand and an AD carry pairing, but I think just trying to get Caps onto a mage may actually work out better for BDS.
I'm curious again because, you know, we've seen the priority on things like the Tristana, but with the Ivan gone too, a lot of the time that pairing is enough to get rid of the Tristana along with it. We'll see. There's one option towards mid.
Lucian.
So, now, top lane is the question because, again, we already set up. Mid is going to be counter pick here. How safe do you go? Is it going to be like Dagda says, is it just going to be a tank battle in the top lane? Or do we get one of those fringe picks from Adam that has defined his career?
I think Ornn would actually be nice here.
Yeah. I
think you just take it and you call it quits. Then you can potentially go for the Cassiopeia on the next rotation, have your late game scale here, but Mundo hovered. It will be the Mundo bringing it back out.
Yep. I mean, I think into champions like Ashe, it's really good because of how easily you can glue yourself to those targets. Of course, Cassante and Nautilus are great PL champions. What do you go with your Caps here? What's the logic? What's the ideation? With the Azir gone, that's one of your safe AP champion options. You need something that can help shred through this Mundo, and there aren't that many. Do you just go for something like the Smolder once again, that kind of scaling late game? But then what about the counter picks that Nuke could potentially bring out?
Tristana, though, doesn't matter that Ivan's gone. They're going to pick it anyway.
So that's going to be their strategy once again. Just have the double hyper-scaling AD carries, double infinity edges, potential mortal reminders.
I'm waiting.
I think this is it. Cassiopeia can throw in the miasma. Tristana can't jump away. She doesn't get a rocket resets, and yeah.
Game 5, Cassio. Now, just a bit of context for people before I let my amazing co-casters sum up what this draft does. This has been a flex in the past. Obviously, it's going mid this game. Both Nuke and Adam have played it, and Nuke had a really good time on it in the playoffs so far. So we get it in a game 5 with a Mundo as well. Gentlemen, who wants to start in this game 5, rounding this up?
It does feel to me like this is very much a comfort for BDS. Nuke going back towards the Cassiopeia, 17 games played, nearly a 65% win rate on the pick overall in his career. It has been something that he's gone back towards numerous times and sets up well for what G2 are trying to do, which is find these picks, go for this kind of all-in, jump in onto a single target. The Cassiopeia can buy that space. It's great. You've got great late game scaling DPS with this pick as well. So It's going to be a case, can Nuke perform once more? He has been the standout performer alongside Ice for this squad, and now he just needs to find that performance once more.
I mean, this is a very BDS draft, gentlemen.
Yeah, big time.
Like they've clearly said we have to double down on comfort. It's what helped us secure the first 2 games. They've also diversified their damage portfolio more than what they've shown in the series. It's not double AD carries forcing Adam to play AP tops. Instead, they now have an AP carry and an AD carry that both scale very well into the late game. If they can't win with this, like, this is really the best that they have to offer. This is the best version of themselves, and they're putting it all on the line against G2. Game 5, everything on the line. Both teams want to win. Both teams want to make it to Munich, and it's all going to come down to this.
The funny thing is, all we're missing is a Jinx for Ice, but we'll have to see if the desk to give us that Jinx instead as you roll on into game number 5. BDS already setting up. I had him hovering around the wall here. They could potentially collapse onto Mikyx here. They're probably going to go over the wall with the W.
He's not spotted out. No defensive ward place. Mikyx is deep, as you said. They could be thinking, we can collapse on this.
7 seconds.
Hansama is going to be the collapse instead. He's walking into Brush. Labrov with a W. Where's the cooldown? 1 more second. But G2 are counter collapsing. Lockdown onto Nuke, the level 1 in game number 5. We pro! Adam is at half HP already as Cap jumps in with Rocket Jump and gets his flash away. Sheo is running for his life as G2 are winning out with Labrov healing as well. 2 summoners in the early game. G2 spent none.
Just a couple more seconds and Labrov would have had that grand entrance open again, but not quite the case. Has to burn the heal to get away from the slows from Hansama. So some flashes burnt, and it's BDS getting burned by that level 1.
An ambitious invade against an Ashe. They thought that they had caught Hansama isolated, but G2 were quick to collapse. Losing those summoners already puts that pressure, and this is the biggest thing, the mental pressure for BDS. Game 5, they found themselves in this situation so many times before. The analysts believe in them to be able to overcome that mental adversity, but they're going to have to put it on display here in this game. And losing those summoners, you have to wonder how that'll affect them.
BDS don't, as Dredgeline comes through. Good dodge from Ice. I've got to say, BDS against G2, it's starting to feel cursed. Best of 5 cursed over the period of time. G2 always get over, as this is level 2 engage from Caps. Nuke just takes a bit of damage. Can't do much here at level 1 as he slithers away.
It's not going to be a very favorable time for Nuke, although nice engage actually at the level 2 hit.
He hits as well. Mickey's going to be in a bit of trouble. It's just damage done, but all better for the lating phase. It's BDS who hit level 2 first bot.
Yeah, nice job though for Hansama to get in front of Mikyx, because I think a couple more of those Mystic shots would have spelled disaster for him, but we'll be able to hold on to those summoner spells. Will be the push as level 2 now hit. Mikyx!
Oh, Mikyx! Engage and getting the lockdown from a bad start to now a great fall. First blood, and Mickey's back.
Confidence and conviction displayed there by Mikyx. He flashes in without a moment's hesitation after getting level 2 and connects onto Ice. The cleanse offered no real value in that situation. Woo! But this is an environment like we talked about, the mental.
Wait. Nuke was still tanking up the minions.
He was forced to flash. Caps re-engaged, but now Sheo sets his sights on the mid lane. A pot comes through for Caps. But you can see how G2 are playing. They're riding off the momentum of those last 2 games. They're not afraid to make these plays. They know what they need to do. And first blood on the board for G2.
And it's normally Ice that we look towards to be the calmness, the stillness, the guy who never messes up for BDS. But when they need him most, that misstep with a great hook from Mikyx doesn't flash it. And it's Ice who ends up falling in that bottom side. And now Nuke as well, struggling in mid. G2 out early on the map. I find Labrov.
He's spotted out. They know that he's there as Yike just hits Scuttle and Mikyx thinks about it if Labrov steps any further forward. But Yike gets Scuttle. Nuke is about to be bullied. He just lost his flash. And G2 are full on committing. Flash already burnt from Mikyx before in the previous play, but G2 are hovering mid, and they ain't letting him go.
But Yike is also just going to get double Scuttle. Sheo had to slow down to go through mid, so hasn't been able to fully clear out. It's been a bit of a wonky clear for him, so it means that Yike going to get this early lead off of Sheo, having to help out his mid laner as well. So a lot of pain points on the map for BDS right now.
I think Mikyx doing a smart thing of just moving away from the bot side of the map, looking to try and impact the fact that there's a lot of summoners down. and he can work with Yike to set up a lethal combo.
Miasma is down, but Caps just steps on over it. It's a 1-for-1 so far in terms of trading, but Nuke wins out in the end.
He does. Nice trades from Nuke. You see how deadly this Cassio can be in the extended exchange. Now Labrov, in contrast to Mikyx, looking to do the same thing. Put that pressure down. The pot's going to come through. Mikyx here to hover, has the Hex Flash.
Remember, Noxious Blast, it has to connect it just out of range. If Nuke hits that Q, he gets movement speed as well. He's obviously playing around that well as Q hits again. He gets in range, Twin Fang, good trade. As Caps is starting to feel the bad end of the brunt, as we talked about before.
I like this from Nuke. Like, I think you need these type of trades. Those trades, the way that like things go in your favor, you know that you can fight, reminding you how advantageous the Cassio can be in this matchup.
Yep.
For now, we have that hover on the top side from Yike, there to cover for Broken Blade in the event that Adam oversteps his bounds. Look at the minimap and notice supports. This is not a mid lane matchup anymore. This is Mikyx versus Labrov's lane, as Labrov tries to push in the wave, whereas Mikyx tries to freeze it. Labrov does get the better of Mikyx here. A single creep will be secured, which Mikyx will take the bounty of, sharing that with Caps in the mid lane.
They'll set up a slow push here for Caps in the mid lane though, so curious to see with Dragon's Bond and also Void Grub's about to come up, what the path of action is here for Yike. You've also got to push on the bottom side, so Dragon just quickly off rip could be something that G2 try and succeed here, because leveraging those Dragons has been great in the early stages of game 3 and 4 to get these leads that they can then utilize in the mid game.
What a start it's already been. 6 minutes in, Grub's now spawn. Once again, Labrov does not like bottom lane. He's allergic to it. He says, ew, get me out. Mikyx thinking that same thought as well. Yike's going to start up the Dragon at the very least. And remember, Adam just burned his TP top, so did Broken Blade. So for G2 now, they feel comfortable with Caps hitting level 6 first, moving down for this first Dragon of the game.
Talked about it, Dagda. Early Dragon priority going to be the secure for G2. Level 6 is starting to come through, which means that with these ultimates available...
These hooks, like, in this game, are so close.
Where is this Mikyx been?
He took a couple of games to warm up, Dagda.
Man's been on a mission. Last game, great hooks.
Yeah.
Great play on the Nautilus to secure the win for G2. And now, heat-seeking missiles from the Nautilus this game as well. You need to be so careful out here as BDS.
We've got to turn our attention to bot lane once again, because Mikyx, he finds it.
Easy done. Someone's available for Labrov if need be, but he just takes the trade, walks out. Meanwhile, grubs are being done. G2, not only do they get double scuttle early on, they got Dragon, and now they're getting 3 grubs uncontested as Sheo seems to be behind.
I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth, as Adam now in a bit of danger.
Yeah.
This early game jungle advantage is going heavily in favor of Yike. Sheo, unsurprisingly afraid to contest in this early game. You look at like who's stronger in these early levels, it makes sense why BDS is forced to concede, but the problem is you can't afford to concede too much in the early game. G2 showed you in Game 3 what they can do. Game 3, Game 4, the one where they won very quickly.
Yeah, Game 3,
what they can do when they get themselves that early lead. And they're leveraging their pressure all across the map. Adam is feeling the weight of it. He's doing a good job, though, in his isolated 1v1, staying relatively even with Broken Blade. But Yike is starting to build a pretty healthy advantage in that jungle matchup.
Unhealthy, I'd say. 400 gold lead, at least for Yike. Sheo only just hit level 6. Yike is half the way to level 8. That's the difference right now. I have to say, we came into this series being a bit wary of Yike, I think. Only from season finals, the end of summer as well. We're thinking, what form is this going to be in? Arrow pauses me and hits! Nuke locked! Caps flash! Nuke dead! That arrow, these Ashes, unreal.
I mean, the coordination, the execution. We've been seeing these arrows come through from Hans Summer all series long, but this one finally connects. Caps goes for the all-in. The distraction technique works. Nuke cannot flash in time, and it is Medusa who is frozen solid.
Medusa.
And what had been an even matchup in the mid lane for so long now finds nearly an 800 gold lead for Caps in that mid lane as he goes for the reset. Massive lead for him as Labrov going to maybe just gleaming quill here to stop the reset. Nicely done.
Well, at least that's something, but Nuke, as he comes back to lane, now down 600 gold. Caps in a good position. And what I've learned about this series is that Caps is always kind of relevant. Even if he ease over a Zeri wall and gets picked out, Caps is always strong in these games. And once again, he's not the only member as we look towards top lane. Adam just going to be popped back, and Broken Blade takes a turret shot while Sheo has to hover again.
Gonna get slowed here.
That's the flash.
Yeah.
Nice sidestep from Hans.
Boy, flash there. Mikyx gets grounded though. Petrifying Gaze locks him in place. Noxious Blast gives him the movement speed to get out.
Well, that was about as well played as it could have been from Nuke. He doesn't even lose his flash off the back of it. Mikyx ends up losing his as well. Level 6 now secured for Mikyx. G2 with a nice little roam from bot up towards mid as Caps catches that bot wave. Sets themselves up with a bit of vision towards the bot side of the map. But overall, G2 hold on to the gold lead. And you can see advantages starting to build in jungle, mid, and bot.
But that's the thing. Every game that G2 have won, it has been them getting firm control in the early stage of the game. And right now, we're seeing a very similar story as Ice wants to trade against Caps, has Labrov here. Ult is available.
Labrov commits with the flash as well, but Caps just buffers out. W is gone, Ice is out of range, and Labrov's flash now down. Caps just waiting for the wave to come in.
Is there any dent that Caps can't buffer out? That's the real question.
So he's a panel beater. I get it.
I mean, we've seen time and time again, many teams try to lock this man down on the Tristana and have failed to do so. Now, Mikyx, are we in Season 1 Ashe mid? The mid lane are now down bot.
He doesn't have TP. Don't Ashe ult in and then TP in on top of it, you know?
TP revive over, yeah.
Yeah, there are viewers that have no idea what I'm talking about.
Isn't it crazy? And people don't remember revive. Like, that's also Season 2, Season 3, right?
Karthus, the good old revive.
Oh my
Karthus
god,
strat.
abusive is... I'm just going to pause. Every time I look towards top, Broken Blade is doing serious damage to Adam, but passive, and the fact he's got Crystalline Bracer, if I can say it properly, is enough for Adam to stay healthy enough. As topside, they're positioning because you can see Grubs have now spawned yet again. G2 have picked up all the objectives this game, and Hansam still bot, as Nuke now shows.
I mean, if this is only equaling up the 3 grubs that have already been taken by G2, you're happy because G2, they have Hansam pushing in a bot. They're going to be totally fine. As I say that, Nuke gets some nice poke onto Hansam, but you can't really push up and may even look for a potential dive here.
Mickey's back.
Yeah, and you've got Yike here as well. That's a lot of damage that can come out very quickly, but looks like Dragon will just be what they're looking for at the moment.
Nuke's got to be sick of seeing Mikyx on his screen so nearby all the time. No, Sheo unfortunately hasn't been able to cover too much, and Mikyx is just in their face. Dragon being taken. Labrov, you're right. It tries to get predicted by Mikyx as he waits out the cooldown. True Shot Barrage for the steal, but it's a smite down from Yike. 2 Dragons for G2 in the early game. That 2k gold lead is there and in the back of my mind.
But BDS pulled off of Void Grubs to do it. They only got a singular one, so those 2 Void Grubs still up there. And they didn't really get into a position to cover as Mikyx was spotted to Labrov's coming. But again, it's still G2 winning out because they're getting proper objectives off the back of this, even if BDS are quote-unquote defending it.
Now with the recalls being interrupted there, frustrating for G2 because there's a world that they can reset, actually path up towards top and look to contest these grubs. They have vision on it. They know that they're alive. Even if they could just get one, they'd have access to the full grub buff. Sheo has to be cautious now, knowing that these resets have come through. But now that Hansam has made his presence known once again on the bot side of the map, it looked like he went for a few more creeps. I wonder if he was close to the Blade of the Ruin King upgrades.
Yike looking to contest though. This might be bad for him, but it's not enough.
Hello.
Is fully committing, but the blast cone's taken. He's ended up in Narnia. Depth charge, lock up, lock down. Caps here for the TP, and Sheo gets the kill over. Call an ambulance, but it ain't for Yike.
I thought BDS were going to pull off. Ice completely disinterested in following Yike up, but Sheo's like, oh my beer, I've got this, as he goes on a magical journey he never wanted to go on. And that's another pick for G2.
3 kills to 0, and the pressure only continues to mount. A steal from Ice, but again, we mentioned it earlier, G2 only need 1 more, and they're going to be able to secure it. This game already feels like it's rapidly slipping away from BDS. The reverse sweep, a curse that has plagued this organization so many times before, is at the cusp of doing it once more. But the good news for BDS,
oh, tell me,
they do still have a scaling composition. We've talked about the Cassio. We've talked about how they have a solid front line. That's no easy feat to break through once they get that itemization. What's important is that they're able to control the bleeding as much as they can, and this is not good for controlling that bleeding.
It's not. He's got to get out. He needs help, but he's dead. How many times this series have we seen Labrov die for deep vision?
How many times have we seen BDS in this game just caught out 1 by 1?
Yeah.
Sheo just gone, Labrov just gone. And to be fair to Nuke, he did have multiple members in his lane when he died, but it has just been a disaster of an early game for BDS, and this is exactly where G2 like to be. Caps, fed, side lane options for him. He's going to take over on Tristana.
Oh, they're going to give the Herald to him as well, as they often do, so that he can be a split push menace, because we've come to learn that they don't use that Herald to siege towers. They use it to give Caps an extra escape route when he's split pushing.
And now with that option available, we'll see Nuke at least able to defend, but while we speak of Caps, I should also mention 1,600 gold is the lead. If he gets that top turret, it's going to get close to 2K. Cull's almost finished as well, and you guys were talking about BDS before, but I have to pause. It's Caps versus Nuke. And a good dodge away, Noxious Blast rather, wasn't actually avoided, but Caps doesn't stick around for the Twin Fang range.
But the support's now roaming up. Someone is going to make a play on towards this top side, so Caps may just try and reset before that happens. But the fact you've already got mid lane turret down without needing Riftheld is phenomenal for G2, because they just get to control so much of this space now with Caps, do what they want.
Just stop Nuke's back as well, being annoying. G2 have an almost 4K gold lead, by the way, as Labrov is making his move up to the top side. Labrov is only level 7 in comparison, but he can't do much without Nuke there, and especially since Mikyx coming back. But TP holds my breath. Caps is looking at buffer here, and Dagda's waiting on edge, but Labrov doesn't even try. Is there an arrow cross map? Is the next question. As Mikyx, dredge line doesn't connect either.
Replay the BDS takes into consideration. G2 seems to be ready for. The gold lead only continues to grow. 4K now on the board. You've already highlighted the individual differences at the bottom of our screens as items are being completed. Third dragon of the game spawns in 50 seconds. G2 have their sights set on this top outer tower for now, that they're desperately trying to defend on the side of BDS. With the TP being used from Nuke, they need to get Adam up towards the top side because he has the TP available. And you can see G2 now resetting. Look, Caps is the one being sent bot. Broken Blade can now be sent to go and catch the top wave because he has his TP. So G2 are quickly fixing their lane assignments, ready for the upcoming objective.
And Hansama just used that sweeper to show that there is absolutely no vision on that bottom side for BDS. So Mikyx going to be perfectly fine and just wander in here, set up his own vision, and slowly clear that. That ward just placed by Mundo, but they already know that everything is going to be shallow. So G2 foregoing a lot of that shallow setup to get deeper vision. And this is where I need to see BDS cross map. You are not taking this dragon. You are not capable of fighting. You need to find something somewhere on this map right now.
Rod of Ages, only 4 stacks here for Nuke. He's got 6 more minutes to build that up to get towards the second item, which I assume should be the Archangels for better dueling. And Cap's already there at his second item. Cap's has got a bounty again. And while CS is even, there's so much gold, just keeps going over to this Tristana with 4 grubs. They just got Dragon as well. Every time I look at the map or the game, it's just a G2 good story.
But they're taking multiple objectives at once.
Yeah.
BDS aren't even trying to defend at this stage, and even when they're away from it, Adam, if you can get the auto, I was trying to see if you could get the passive off the Mundo, but it's just, at this stage, G2 taking everything that they want. Ice wants to try and fight back here.
Hansama's just dueling, arrow comes out, and yeah, Ice did want to fight because Sheo was nearby, and ulti out. Meanwhile, bot is in severe danger. It's the Ralph Wiggum of bot lane with the Herald charging in.
Look top as well.
You're right on multiple angles, but the Cassante ult makes it even worse here as the 1v1 is happening. Look towards the top, the flash away, and Nuke gets out, but Broken Blade almost solo kills while bot turret is barely left standing.
It feels like the BDS are trapped in a room as the water continues to rise. They're running out of oxygen and the pressure just continues to mount as G2 are flooding in from every single angle, top, mid, bot. There are too many holes in this ship and BDS is quickly sinking.
And unfortunately, this would be the 4th time they found themselves in said room. Twice they've been reverse swept by Fnatic, once by Mad Lions, and now potentially by G2, because this is not a train that is going to stop anytime soon. G2 want to mercilessly put down BDS in this game.
I mean, as I said at the start, a lot of fans bought ticket to Munich who were expecting G2 to be there. Now, they're obviously smiling right now thinking, hang on a minute, we can still go. But G2 in a game 5, in this reverse sweep that it's looking like, and again, it's not over yet. We talked about BDS scaling. I don't want to sell the story short, but G2 are in a good position. They're on sole point and have looked like the better team in the past 3 games. And it is crazy how this team just turns on. That's the most wild thing. When the first 2 games looked very BDS-sided, and granted Game 2 is a mix, G2's ability to change up draft and just switch on is nuts.
The thing I respect about teams in general, that like, we've all cast many games. I mean, I know for a fact, Hysterics, you've cast many LPL teams where you've sat there and said, I see you play that champion in game 1, I don't think you should play it again. And then they just bring it out again. And they just completely change your perspective, because then in the second game, they sit there and remind us all.
You talking about Nautilus?
Yes, I am. That was a bad game 1, but that's all that was, right? And Mikyx did just that, right? He showed the confidence, why they had value on the Nautilus early rotation, why that game 1 was just a blip, and the impact that he can really have. This is probably his best Nautilus game of the series so far. Arrow sidestepped.
But still, there's damage to be done. Caps gets a slow with Blade of their own King. Mukyx trying to wiggle his way out. TP here for the flank for BDS, and Nature's Grasp is an opportunity. BDS ain't out of this one yet. True Shot Barrage with good damage, but there's no follow-up. In goes Broken Blade just to stop the prognosis. A medic word, if I've ever heard one, as Labrov flashes out of the way. Dredge line there as well. Damage being done. Good brand ulti as well from Yike. Separates the feathers of BDS. That inner turret left standing, though, after everyone's bot.
BDS are throwing everything that they have at G2, but the vision is there to spot out Labrov in the flank. The damage is there to push BDS back. And now it's once more Hansama pushing in middle wave as they just look for the easy reset.
Notice how, even though no kills went down, the gold, every time we look back up there, it's like another K has been gained for G2. Now the goal gap is 6K between the two teams. Dragon is up in a minute and a half. G2 have laid all the groundwork ready for that next objective. And sure, there is that late game scaling opportunity that BDS have. They've showcased how many great team fights. They were at a deficit in their first game against SK, and it was this type of competition that they used to pull themselves back into the game and win a team fight. The question is, can they find that avenue again against a team like G2?
It is so BDS, and it would be so BDS. You know, I think the surprise this year has been some of the greatest when they've just pulled out one team fight win and ended up winning the game. We've asked ourselves so many times, how do they keep doing it? It's funny that they're going up against G2, where the same question to G2 is, how do they keep doing it? These are the teams that we ask, how do they keep doing it? And in game number 5 right now, G2, as Vedius already alluded to, they're still doing it. 6K gold lead, it's huge. Dragon's coming up 30 seconds, only a Chemtech Soul, but still, it's a soul that leads to Elder. It's a soul that's a permanent buff for G2 if they get it.
And my eyes are on Nuke. I feel like he's been the man that has really stepped up for BDS this year. Has been one of the stronger mid laners that we have in the LEC this split as well. And if you can find one big Cassiopeia ult, one moment in a fight, he can pop off. Especially with those 2 items now completed. But it's so difficult to get into these fights. Dragon has spawned. And they maybe find a moment before the TP from Caps.
BDS are walking in, the engages there onto Mikyx. He interrupts. He's the target as the arrow is mainly used for disengage the depth charge as well. Good ultis burned out at G2 for BDS. The start of the fight ain't so bad, as Broken Blade is now teleported in, or rather run in with his Ghost. He's going to try and stop, but at half HP, he's in a bit of danger too. BDS trying to use that health bar advantage as Dragon starts.
The poke from Ice continues to be ruthless. He's connecting Q after Q. The ultimate follows through, and G2, they're going to have to disengage. They find a moment of reprieve as they're able to deny the soul, get a bounty. Unfortunately, G2 set their sights on the mid-tier 2.
Yeah, Caps going to be able to take that, but it was Caps who was a little bit late to the party, hadn't TP'd back in, wanted to reset before he did now. Oh, Adam, wait a second.
Running in, G2 with a massive turn. Adam caught out and flashes away. Maximum dosage launches. Caps jumps in as well. Ice in trouble, in danger. BDS lured in. It's a Nature's Grasp from Sheo, but in the back line, they've already lost Ice. They're looking for Caps, but Labrov can't do it. BDS, they're fading, they're falling. The reverse sweep is crawling, and I really do think BDS are indeed cursed.
BDS fans are bawling as they look at their screens. An ace for G2. And with that, it feels like once more G2 will find their way to Munich.
They're gonna take the inhibitor. The death timers, we're only 24 minutes in. BDS don't have a kill. BDS don't have a tower. They are 10,000 gold behind. And after once again being so close, they will be denied that opportunity and they will be shut down. The game is not over yet.
No.
but G2 are ever so close to rounding things out.
But it felt like that was their miracle. They forced G2 back, and then Adam, trying to get up towards that top side to find that wave, gets caught. Ice tries to help. Caps immediately jumps on him. And there's nothing they could do. Even here, Nuke tries to go forward to get the miasma to kill Caps, but ends up getting knocked back by Broken Blade. Dies with no ultimate to use. He dies actually mid-ult animation. And it's just G2 chasing down the BDS members, and Adam, who started it, is the last to fall.
An inhibitor falls.
Oh, man.
And you can see the reality setting in. BDS know the situation that they find themselves in. And they're going to need miracle after miracle to turn this game around. It would truly be an incredible story if they could do it. But G2, I don't think is going to give them that chance.
And it's heartbreaking to see, because for BDS, the improvement has been there. The story could have been written a different way, but with them meeting G2 early in the road to Munich, they just can't overcome what has always been that team that has always got the better of them.
And now Mad Lions must be grinning from ear to ear. You know, they're looking at a world spot yet again as G2 start the Baron, and BDS off on the edge here. We're only going to find out now. Sheo needs that said miracle. Dagda asks, but will we receive? Chains in. Sheo disengaged. Mikyx sacrifices his life, but Baron goes down to Yike, as close as that true shot barrage is.
And it goes from bad to worse with the Baron. G2 Siege will now be unrelenting. The bot lane inhibitor has already been destroyed, which means that constant wave of pressure is going to continue coming in. The resets will come through for G2. They're going to look to spend the gold that they have. Double Infinity Edge for the carries. The monster on the shoulders of BDS has been something that has plagued them since joining the league, but it looks like that monster has no intention of going anywhere.
You know, the saddest part is BDSA's sister team, the Academy team, just made EMEA finals. They'll be there at Munich. The fact that the mother roster or father roster, whatever you want to call it, won't be there alongside it would be heartbreaking. Now, it's a 10k gold lead. I'm going to level with you. This would be a miracle comeback if you could pull, again, Dagda, rabbit out of the hat. Like
really
rabbit.
You found a crutch word, I feel.
After this series, I'm buying a rabbit.
Not the hat, though.
No,
Just
not
the
the
rabbit.
hat. No.
The red buff now being contested. I don't think that red buff belongs to you, BDS.
Mickey thinking about a Hex Flash over the wall. Ghost has popped Broken Blades there. Stretch line into Adam, and he ain't as tanky as he feels, as Arrow will fly short, but the Brand ult will not. Petrifying Gazo from Nuke gives options, but flash away from Han. Sama keeps him alive. Nuke's Cassiopeia, while it looked great in the draft, hasn't been able to play the game.
He ends up falling, Labrov ends up falling. The wall that was BDS's top side has crumbled, and now with the Baron buff, G2 set their sights on the second inhibitor and maybe even the game.
I mean, now the death timers are long enough. Inhibitor's going to start it off. I mean, BDS were given this window of hope, and G2 are quick to close it as the engage comes from Sheo. G2 battle down a Nexus turret to lock BDS out of Munich, of season finals, and out of Worlds. They're paving a road, and G2, nobody will get in their way as they lock in their place at Munich and once again define this region.
An incredible reverse sweep for G2. When they looked down and out, it felt like that they had no options. They were able to shift their priorities in the draft, and individually they stepped up to meet the occasion that was BDS in front of them. And commiserations to BDS because they put up a valiant fight, but this wall that is G2 has stood in their way at every step.
And I mean, Caps on the Tristana was absolutely insane, and you can vote for him of your player of the series if you want to at LEC on X alongside Yike and Han Sama. But honestly, impeccable performances across the board. There was big step-ups. Mikyx Nautilus looking great in the last couple of games, but the Tristana for me was just night and day across the series. This is clearly a pick you cannot let Caps have.
And I'm sure that there will still be question marks around G2's performance, but their road through the lower bracket will continue. They will be going up against the loser of Mad Lions, Moi versus Fnatic, which is happening tomorrow. But they've also secured a world spot for MBK and Fnatic as BDS fall today.
You can see BDS, I mean, we're so close.
So many times throughout this year.
So many times. And our third place team, consistently third. No longer. Now, it is between G2, Mad, and Fnatic. All are going to Worlds.
It's amazing how somehow Mad Lions always find a way. They
regardless,
always find a way.
BDS always losing game 5, and MDK always make it. We've got certain, script writing issues, but we've got to figure them out.
It's crazy. I mean, again, after they had a great winter, spring was a bit of a letdown, and then this huge run. Remember, they almost didn't make it to playoffs. I know today is obviously still about G2 BDS, but just quickly, Mad almost didn't even make it to playoffs.
But I mean, it's the thing where what Mad did was they did beat G2 in that game.
Exactly. That's the difference.
And that is the difference, right? BDS were given the exact same opportunity, and unfortunately today they couldn't close it out. They couldn't end that final game 5 when it mattered
I hate
most.
that you said it as well, by the way. I hate that you're like, oh, this is going to 5 games. It's going to be a reverse sweep in game number 3. No, I think it was even before that. And yeah, G2, there's just always something about them. It's frustrating, but it's also, I think, classifying the region. A lot of people say G2 is the region.
But it's hard when, they go down against Fnatic, they still win. They go down against BDS, they still win. It always feels like they are just inevitable. And at this stage, I think everyone that is remaining in this season finals is now taking a big old gulp.
We're going to get them a gauntlet.
We got to get through this now.
Well, let's listen to the inevitable Mikyx with his Nautilus. Is it a god or what is it, Mickey?
I actually don't know, Vedi, but maybe he does. But first things first, Mickey, thank you so much for joining me. Congrats on winning this one. 5 games, 5 banger of games, if I may say. But I was just talking to Romain now, and he was telling me nothing special about the guys. They were like really relaxed. Everything was under control, which seems hard to believe, honestly, given what I just saw for the past 4 hours.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Maybe he was on the wrong side, but like I was definitely not calm after the 0-2. But I think, well, my team did a great job at calming me down because I was pretty tilted after the first 2 because I was running it, especially the first game. But yeah, cheers to my team. And then we also started drafting very well and actually had really good ideas and good plans, and we played more reserved. And then the game just felt a lot easier,
How did you guys adapt? We will touch on the Nautilus performance, guys. Do not worry, that's on the menu. But how did you guys readjust, actually? And what was the difference maker starting in game 3?
Well, we stopped picking Zeri mid. That was like the first adjustment that we did. Cap was also saying that he had a 20% win rate in it, like on it. So like he was also a bit skeptical just before the game, but we kind of expected it anyway. They also played a lot of Corki, also had really high prio, and they banned a lot of mids for it. But yeah, like after the first game, I was for sure not confident in the Nautilus 2-3 that we did in the first game. But then 4-5, I was back mentally, so I was like, okay, we can do it again.
just a good game of Seraphine to get you back on track, Mickey. Let's talk about the first 2 games, though. I want to know what happens when you do something like this. Obviously not running it down because obviously something is not clicking here, but I'm just wondering, if you miss one engage, the second engage, the third engage, do you have like a mental block afterwards that goes in your mind where you're like, well, I'm just not going to land one hook this game? And I don't know how much your mental crumbles when you have a bad start with this champion.
I mean, I think the engage part is not really the problem. I think the getting caught and dying a lot is like the bigger problem, because then you're like scared to rock anywhere because you feel like they're always out to get you. But I think, yeah, actually that first game, I just actually could not play the game. I don't know what was wrong with me. I was calling cannon minions grumps for some reason. Like, I don't know. I don't know what was going on.
And what about game 4 and 5? Actually, you've been playing perfectly. I know that there was even a Mickey redemption. So you felt confident enough to pick the champion in the end. Look at this, how beautiful it was.
Well, after the Seraphine game, I felt like, okay, the games are pretty easy if I just like chill out a bit. And also, I guess the first 2 games, their level 1s were a bit different. So we got caught a little bit off guard, but then we were much more ready for it. Actually, game 2, they just had plot armor. Like, they always lived the 1 HP. That was like unbelievable.
Enough about the Nautilus. Honestly, congrats on taking this one. I just want to ask something about G2 in general, because I know that your coaches talked about this in Euphoria, the fact that there's always expectations for G2. domestic expectation, but also international expectations. And you beating your opponents is often not enough. People assume excellence from you guys and expect excellence on the side of G2. Is it some expectation that has a weight on you, or is your coaching staff helping you actually just like get rid of the fact that if you don't show up great, then people are going to talk about it?
I think we don't pay too much attention to what the public perception is. I think we just expect a lot from ourselves. So I guess in that sense, there is pressure on us to perform every game because, especially in Europe, we expect to dominate Europe so we can actually have a good shot internationally. And, you know, if you look at the first 2 games, that wasn't really the case. But I think the last 3 was pretty good, you know. So if we keep up the trend, the momentum, I think we're going to be good to go, yeah.
It's all about recovery. 1 down, 2 to go. And in that sense, MDK is going to face off against Fnatic tomorrow. What are going to be the main takeaways from this series, and who's advancing in grand finals?
I'm not really sure who will actually win tomorrow. I would say Fnatic looks more convincing, I would say. And I think Mad Lions showed a lot of their cards against us. But yeah, I think it could go either way. I think Mad Lions play really well anyway. So I don't know.
We'll see about that. Yeah. We'll see about that. Mikyx, thank you so much for all these answers, and congrats again on advancing to the next round. Sjokz, over to you in post-game lobby. Take it away.